Good morning. How are you? Same old, huh? I thought that what I'd do is do a very quick stream. This is sort of a bonus thing separate from the podcast and interviews that I'm doing. Excuse me. Thought I'd give people a very quick as possible. There's a lot here, right? There's a lot underneath this stuff, but if you're sort of the average person who hasn't been paying attention to my videos, which wouldn't surprise me because nobody fucking does. But if you're sort of an average person who's still really confused by this debate and is seeing what's going on with J.K. Rowling, or Rowling, I don't know how it's pronounced, I'm not a fan, I don't care, okay, it's not the point. I just want to sort of try to explain this in a very simple way, because none of this is a fucking thing. It's not a problem. This is all just bullies, okay? It's just bullying, and it is a cult, and it is taken over, and it's playing out like a cult plays out, okay? So, that said, Grapefruit just said, I didn't even know what a TERF was until like 2 days ago. Yes, okay, let's start there. So, most people, right, have no fucking idea what the fuck this means. I'm going to try and not... you know what? I'm fucking done being gentle. I'm done being diplomatic. I'm done being careful. I'm fucking sick of this shit. Okay? Because I've been watching this. The thing is that these dumbass fucking kids think that all of us have been in this debate for like 5 minutes, and now they're trying to gaslight all of us and telling us that the things that they have made our lives hell for years, they are now saying, as their argument, agreeing, forgetting that they cancelled us for saying the same shit. And I've had enough of this. It just goes to show that this woke movement has no principles, no consistency, no logic. It's all about shifting bars, moving bars, and pack hunting, Hunger Games style, anybody who you see as a convenient target because you're fucking rich and bored, right? And you're tearing it all down, right? James Lindsay, was it James Lindsay? Right? This gutting of institutions, this takeover and entryism, right? They go in, they take over, they ruin it, they fire people, and then they wear the organisation like a skin suit. Isn't that a great fucking thing? And that's happened to the LGBT community, right? Pride 2020 may as well be a pagan fucking hunting ritual at this point. Okay? Fuck me. I'm done being polite, and I'm just done. I've tried to sit in the middle here, and it's time for fucking adults to stand up and say something. So, if everyone says something, because everyone is a TERF when you know the facts, okay? When you know the facts, you are a TERF, okay? Anyway, I'm done sitting on the fucking fence with this shit. I'm done sitting there trying to intellectualize a pack of fucking bullies, right? Tearing down statues, tearing down this, looting, rioting, gutting institutions, taking over the press, fucking bullying, like thinking that J.K. Rowling even gives a fuck about their open letter on Twitter for some reason. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck do you think you are? Actually, the funniest part that I've seen out of all of this is all these fucking people who are suddenly renaming their cats. Like, cats care what their fucking name is to begin with. It's like, you are no longer Hermione. Your name is now Mittens. And the cat's like, I don't give a fuck. Where's my food? You're crazy. Anyway, crowdfunding for tattoo removal. You fucking morons. Okay. Anyway. Welcome to my educational content. Welcome to my classroom. I should actually call my podcast The Dirty Classroom. I teach you things and also swear like a trooper. Anyway, okay, so what high crime did J.K. Rowling commit, you ask? Well, she's a TERF. Now, what's a TERF? It's nothing. It's a slur. It is a call to action for violence. And I'm going to show you a few things, okay? Now, I can't show everything. I just need to tell the story in a way that people might just go, oh, okay. Like, honestly, if you haven't watched any of my videos by now and you haven't listened and you think I'm just being a shithead, I don't see how I'm going to reach you now. But, you know, share it. See how you go. You might get blocked for sharing my shit, but I don't care. Well, I care about you. I'm sorry. You shouldn't care about them because they're fuckwits. And so anyway. Oh, yes, it's a big cup of almond milk coffee. So how does the intersectionality of coffee work? Because it's also it's also almond milk because I don't deal with milk well. So I have cup privilege, but not lactose privilege. And other people have gluten privilege, and I don't. It's fucking stupid. Anyway, I'm being silly. Intersectionality is good, not this horse shit cult version that has been created. So I shouldn't mock intersectionality as a concept. I should be a little bit more... I'm just fucking done. I'm done with these idiots, okay? So J.K. Rowling has committed the high crime of being a transphobe, putting a bunch of people on the spot. So you may, in the context of all of the race rights and race discussions that are going on at the moment, with people being bullied into speaking up on how they feel, right, about race. You know what? I'm not going to be bullied into talking. I will speak my words when I want to. Yeah. I'll speak my words when I want to, at my pace, with my timing, with due consideration on the issues, and I will not just repeat your fucking cult shit. I won't be forced to speak or not speak, okay? You can fuck off with your bullying shit. My position is I'm not racist. Prove it, okay? Anyway, fuck off. So in the context of all of this shit, right, they are related because it's the same cult. They're all different sort of factions or different cells of the same cult, right? J.K. Rowling took exception to the erasure, or basically took exception to the concept of people who menstruate, right? That's a common thing at the moment, right? So let me share this screen. Okay, my teenager's watching a movie on this wall at the other side of this wall. So if you hear some booming or bass going, that's what that is. Anyway, so the high crime. So J.K. Rowling, sassy, right? Don't give a fuck. So in response to an article, which was creating a more equal post-COVID-19 world for people who menstruate, right? Very important issue, period poverty. Access to menstrual products, the fact that women are oppressed based on our biological sex, based on the physical reality of the fact that most healthy, normal fucking women menstruate of a certain age, right? Well, let's not derail it, okay? I can't believe we have to defend this fucking thing, right? Anyway, let me introduce you to a technique which is known to be a fallacy, and it is a technique which means that, and when you use fallacies, you automatically generally lose the debate. And that's called splitting, okay? Which is and derailing, okay? Don't do it. We know what a woman is, okay? Leave it at that. Stop asking. Now, so J.K. Rowling rightly took exception to the concept of people who menstruate, right? So, and this was actually quite a funny tweet. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wumban, wimpund, wumud, opinion, right? And yeah, so that's the article that she posted, right? Then, of course, they all went fucking nuts. She got way more likes than this, right? Also, it's worth noting that Twitter actually, I liked this, and it keeps unliking it. Right? That's been an ongoing thing. So she's getting a lot more support than Twitter is letting you believe. Anyway, because every other day you have to go back and re-like the tweets. This is what's going on, right? So, where are we? Up. And then someone said, educate yourself because, and you know what she did? She did educate herself. So I've spent much of the last 3 years reading books, blogs and scientific papers by trans people, medics and gender specialists. I know exactly what the distinction is. Never assume that because someone thinks differently, they have no knowledge, which is true. If anything, being called a TERF means that you need to learn a lot and learn it fast, right? I've spent 3 years reading on this issue and there is absolutely no argument I haven't heard before, right? I've been thinking of developing an actual flow chart. So on one side, you've got the gender debate, which is all this squiggly lines and flow charts and if and else and fucking circular logic and all this stuff. And the feminist argument, which is which has always been, right? Which is just like fucking 4 fucking lines. Thought about don't get time. I think about making that a billboard. That'd be great. Anyway, feminist argument is pretty simple, right? Women as a class tend because of our physical, differences between men, like this myth that somehow we said that gender was a construct. It's bullshit. That's not true. It's a misrepresentation of the debate. It's never been the case. Gender is not that's a straw man for a start. Women have never, feminists who are actually feminists, not fucking Twitter feminists, have never disagreed on biological sex, right? What we have argued is that by virtue of being born a woman, you suffer certain things, right? You just that's your life, right? Gender is different. Gender is a set of expectations and roles that society puts on you. Like me, being raised as a girl, even though I tend to be, reading books and, climbing trees and being a bit of a tomboy and all that sort of stuff, I felt immense pressure growing up to like girly things, and I didn't. Okay? If I was growing up today, I would have thought that I was a boy, and that's bullshit. Okay? It's not. It's regressive. Boys like blue and girls like pink. Fuck off. Boys can like pink. That's been feminists have been nothing but consistent, right? Sex, biological sex, is not gender. So this is what you need to understand, right? Biological sex has never been in dispute. With feminists, we have never once said that they aren't different, okay? The history of sex and gender is that it initially got conflated because conservatives in the United States didn't like the word sex on government forms and were squeamish about the word sex on government forms. So they started to use the word gender, which really only existed in postmodern philosophy up until that point. And those two things started to get confused. That's the history, okay? But the feminist argument has never been that gender is a thing. Okay, anybody who understands knows that they're different things. Sex is your body, gender is all of the expectations and roles. Masculinity, femininity as concepts, that's gender, okay? That exists in your fucking head. Who gives a fuck, right? Now, gender people, right? And the thing is, I go, okay, gender scholars, because the gender idiots have no argument and their argument changes, and I'll walk through that with you. Which is that now they're actually agreeing with everything they cancelled us for. So fucking hell, you fucking morons. But, so, what was my point? Gender scholars believe that there is, no such thing. Initially would say that gender is a construct, that gender is something that is innate, right? This notion that you can feel like you are born in the wrong body, which... unpick that sentence, right? Is someone with cerebral palsy born in the wrong body? Is someone with schizophrenia born in the wrong body? Is someone with anorexia born in the wrong body? Is someone overweight or big or have whatever, right? Are they born in the wrong body. You can't be born in the wrong body, okay? You can feel like you're born in the wrong body, okay? And there are ways to deal with that. But anyway, so that's the difference between sex and gender, right? Is that a bunch of dummies thought that their feelings, like they're born in the wrong body, are actually scientific facts, which isn't the case. So the feminist argument is that when you understand the history of feminism, it has always centered around male violence, male ownership of women, women as property, right? Violence, so I'm going to include sexual stuff in violence because they're all different. But they're based, and making sure that women are not the property of men, and, that male violence towards women, right, and girls is a fucking problem, and women need, special provisions, safety, because of our different biology, right? The rest of it can, that's all gender shit. Fuck off, whatever. Nobody cares what colour your hair is in 2020. No one cares, okay? Now, so, let me go back to the camera. So, J.K. Rowling's, I needed to explain that because that then explains, that's the thing that people are being called a TERF for, is saying that, and I'll go through the history, all right? It always takes me a few minutes to warm up. So there's a whole lot of history to this, all right, which is, let me go back to the cameraman. All right. So everyone's losing their shit, first of all, because the cult's been fucking activated, right? That the context of this is that forces that be, for some reason, are choosing right now to activate Antifa and all of those cells, right? So that's the context. And there is a trans Antifa fucking overlap, right? Not all trans, again. I've got people on my podcast coming on that are the wrong kind of trans, right? Now, where this started with J.K. Rowling, right? Understanding feminism, which was that women are not the property of men, right? Boys can like pink and girls can like blue. Girls can be engineers and boys can be nurses. That's a feminist argument, okay? Somehow, if a boy likes pink now, he's a girl. And if a girl wants to be an engineer and climb trees, that she must be a boy, okay? Now, if that doesn't make you roll your eyes at how regressive it is, okay? Now, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So, the history with J.K. Rowling, right? Yes, RuPaul, drag queen, famous, right? Considered transphobic, right? Eddie Izzard fell into line for some fucking reason and it's like, anyway, we won't talk about that. You got to understand that drag is everything is transphobic. Drag is transphobic. Actual trans people are considered transphobic by the crazy cells, right? Oh, jeez. There's just, I need to slow down. So, now, this comes down to the conflict between sex versus gender. You have to understand those differences and the history of those things and the hard-fought rights that women have had to have privacy, safety, autonomy away from men, right, for their safety, and also, the novel idea that women are human and want to organise separately, right? Now, there was I'm going to talk about the UK just because this is J.K. Rowling thing, but it's a similar thing playing out legally worldwide. It's been passed in Victoria. They tried in Western Australia here. Bill C-16 in Canada has unpicked the same thing. That's how you end up with people like Jessica Yaniv. You've got those same conflicts in the US where gender conflicts with sex in law, where someone's sense of identity, gender feels, right? I like pink, therefore I'm a girl, right? Let's just keep holding on. Like when you think gender identity, it's a sense, and I guess I'm not talking about dysphoria. This is separate from something like dysphoria, okay? Because you don't even need to be dysphoric to be trans anymore, okay? Right? And I'll talk about that. So gender is how you feel or how you perceive yourself, what you believe, right? What your interests are, your sense of self. Sex is based in fact and biology. Like they keep trying to fucking derail with intersex. There's no argument there. Again, splitting and derailing, there's no point going down. It's like no argument that hasn't been debunked. So sex is different from gender, okay? Now, you have the gender recognition, you have the Equality Act, right? 2010, right? Which allows for single-sex services, right, for women based on this history, like prisons, dormitories. I don't like talking about change rooms because that's a design problem, right? But there's exemptions, right, that you can't discriminate because women are a protected class based on our bodies, our sexed bodies, our physical bodies. Okay, now again, they'll derail it with, what about women who don't menstruate? Yeah, they're still fucking women. Shut the fuck up. Okay, all of they just keep derailing and splitting. You'll just watch this. It's tedious, right? That's why I'm not even going to address it. We know what a woman is. It's up to you to prove that it's not that, and you don't have any proof. It's just a feeling, and you're a narcissist. Okay, so anyway, now, what you've got in the UK, you have the Equality Act, which protects women based on their biological sex, right? Hard fought, very important spaces where women can gather, collect, be safe, be protected, support each other, organise away from men who Lib Fems might forget actually seem to quite like hurting us, right, in large numbers. They like creeping on us in quite large numbers. They like raping us in quite large numbers, right, in quite significant numbers, especially worldwide. They like aborting girls, right, and they like cutting off their mutilating our genitals and trafficking us and women who die of domestic violence. This is a fact. This is the shit that Lib Fems are fighting for. Right? So, we all know that women need protection from men. Now, this is the thing that I find funny because the second that you say trans women are not women, the whole house of cards comes crashing down, and that's why they fight this tooth and nail, because that is the only argument that makes any that lets them cling to their dissonance, okay? And that's why they hate Kelly, right? Oh, sorry, Posey Parker, but she's Kelly J. Keane, right? It's why they hate her so much, right? Because saying something as innocent as trans women are men, are biological males, the entire argument falls down. Everything else is a distraction, okay? It's a distraction. Okay, now, so you have the Gender Recognition Act, right? Which, that's the system that worked. It worked for the most part, right? Again, I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm not saying that real trans people, right? Okay, now, actually, before I go here, there is a distinction here between the transsexual that you know and probably support, right? Caitlyn Jenner is a transsexual, right? And I'm not going to get into the argument of, whether that's a thing or not, right? I think that distracts from the debate. But over here, you've got transgender, which is that there is no gender dysphoria, right? It's just a costume, okay? Non-binary. Like, what the fuck? Fuck off. You're not that special. You're really not that special. Anyway, all of these things, they're all just, it's like when you actually push people and say, okay, so what does it mean to feel like a woman without using the word woman? Because the argument, even on Wikipedia, right? A woman is anybody who identifies as a woman. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean to identify as a woman? And generally, if you push that question, it is reduced to, well, I'm sensitive, or I'm soft, or I like female things, right? The very stereotypes that feminists have opposed since the beginning, okay? So it's so fucking weird that feminists have bought into this fucking cult. It's just bullshit. It's bullshit. Anyway. So if you're a young gay boy, right, and you like fashion and you like, let's say you're a young or a gender non-conforming girl who may grow up to be a lesbian or may just grow up to be like me, a fucking mouthy bitch who don't give a fuck, right? It doesn't make me a boy. None of it. None of it makes me a boy. It makes me a woman who doesn't cave to fucking social pressures about what a woman is. So, what does it mean? And again, I'm not talking about dysphoria. Dysphoria is a legitimate medical condition that causes an immense amount of distress. Now, this is what gets. I'm talking to to as many trans people that I can about this, because I really want people to understand that we're using this really. People who are the people that you think that you're helping and think that you're defending, right? They're called true scum. They're called trans medicalists. They're harassed, and they're also used as footballs between fucking tribes, right? With all their purity, like gender criticals are fucking just as bad to these people as, you know. And it's like, no, like there is a legitimate person there there's a person there who's suffering from dysphoria. And dysphoria and transitioning is a treatment, right? It is a treatment for a chronic condition, and it might alleviate some of the symptoms, right, of a chronic condition, right? I can maybe understand what it's like, because on the spectrum, always feeling a little bit like things are off, right, and not fitting in. I can empathise with it. I can't understand it like dysphoric. I can understand other things. I can empathise with it, right? So there is a difference between sex and gender, right? And transgender versus transsexual. So what you think you're supporting when you support trans people, right, is 5 years ago, it was every so often you'd see someone, 6'3", living life as a woman, right? And I'm not going to go into what does it mean to live as a woman, right? Let's just assume that dysphoria treatment, that gives comfort. Let's just assume that, okay, up until now, right? That there was a psychologist involved. There was 2 years. Like, I actually had a neighbour, funnily enough, it got done for kiddie porn, but anyway, that's a side point. A neighbour who had to live 2 years as a woman, right? And that's by design, right? That's that loaded language stuff that I talked about in my previous stream, right? So they conflate the two, transgender. So Eddie Izzard, which very disappointingly has said that they're transgender. And I always loved Eddie because he was someone who fought the right fight, which was, I'm a man, I like women's things. He always, but now he falls under the trans umbrella. So the umbrella is quite broad, okay? The trans umbrella includes people with kinks, and autogynephilia, and other sort of paraphilias that involve like dressing up as women, and people who actually get off on dressing up as women, people who enjoy humiliating themselves, like people with sissy and humiliation fetishes, right? When you know that this stuff exists, and you call yourself a feminist, it's very hard to defend what this movement is, because basically every creep that's ever flashed you in a park, every creep that's ever stood over you, every creep that's ever they can now basically sit and just say that they're a woman and get access to women's spaces. Okay. Now, I'm trying to keep it nice, but I'm fucking sick of being polite about this because I'm speaking common sense. This is just fucking bullshit. Fuck this shit. Okay. So, but I'm going to explain the conflict. So, I'll get to J.K. Rowling. So J.K. Rowling, what you're seeing is a dam bursting on something that I've been talking about on YouTube for nearly 2 years now, and writing about and researching for probably 5. Quietly researching this seriously. See, I got called a TERF about 5 years ago, and then I didn't really, 4 years ago. But before that, I was always one. I didn't know, right? The thing that piqued me was Caitlyn Jenner winning Woman of the Year. That was fucking like, what, you fucking what now? Like, fuck off. Anyway, that was the thing, right? Caitlyn Jenner, again, still supportive. Still, you do you. It can't be easy to do that in public, right? It can't be easy. And you're also still an asshole, right? But I just went, well, what's with this worship, right? This worship. I don't if the crowd is worshipping, I tend to go, well, that's just my natural reaction. Anyway, so I've been no, I know this. So what you're seeing is it spilling over? Cancel culture, right? Antifa, the rioting, the takeover at the New York Times. Well, like I've said, if they unseat Zuckerberg, the takeover of Twitter, the takeover of institutions, right? The people with coloured hair, bad fringes, yelling trans women are women, they're cult members. Okay? I was talking about diversity and inclusion. I have been doing nothing but work for that in that area for years. And then all of a sudden, I start saying, no, fuck this, because I realised that people had taken over and were wearing my issue like a skin suit. Thank you, James, for that term. I think it was James. So, hang on, let me just turn my mic down because I think I'm peeking out. Okay, there we go. Yep, and Alexis is a bit different, but yeah, that's another symptom. Gearbox also, this was weird because we were waiting for a new event with Borderlands 3 from Gearbox, and that was supposed to come out this weekend. And as part of the thing, there was a thing from Gearbox where they're like, we're not going to release this thing as planned. And I was like, what? Why? I can kind of understand it because it's a shooter, I think, but it doesn't make sense. You're seeing symptoms, right, across the board. You're seeing symptoms of a broader thing, which is entryism of a cult that has taken over. It doesn't make sense because it's a cult, and when you understand that it's a cult, it then makes sense, okay? But the ideology is ever changing, ever moving. Now, I know I've wandered off topic. Anyway, so what we're talking about here, sex versus gender. You've got the Gender Recognition Act over here in 2004. System was working fine. You've got women's sex, hard-fought sex-based rights away from men. Okay, now, changes to the Gender Recognition Act in the UK, and this is happening across the world. It's not just that. Bill C-16 in Canada, as I said before. There's all these other things, right? Rather than having to have counselling or any sort of medical consult they want to demedicalise being trans, right? So there is no medical aspect to it. All you need to do, in the state of Victoria, in Australia at the moment, right? And this is when you hear the term self-ID, this is what we talk about. That's it might be called other things like around the world, but self-ID as an issue, which is basically, if I say that I am a woman, I am a woman. And the person who questions that can be charged with a hate crime, okay? All right. So, self-ID in Victoria, in order to be a woman, right, legally, all you need to do is fill out a stat dec. Okay? Now, you might see how those are in conflict with each other. Given that men tend to like hurting us, right? Not all men, but many men like to hurt women and girls and get access to children and all of those things. This is not Helen Lovejoy saying, if somebody think of the children, right? This is feminists saying, fuck, get the fuck away from my children, you pervert, okay? Not all trans people are perverts. That's where the confusion lies, right? So it's very important that I have to emphasize that feminists, since the beginning, have been saying that sex is not gender, that gender should not trump sex or override sex in law, okay? Because those sex-based protections are sacred, they are important, and they keep women safe and alive, right? However, the gender police want people who just say that they're women to go and access rape shelters and prisons. Look up Karen White, right? Look up Jessica Yaniv, who managed to destroy the lives of 16 fucking women, right? Get women who refuse to wax their balls charged with hate, sued for a hate crime, right? People who have been approached by police for retweeting a transphobic. So, okay, I'll get to that too. What transphobic isn't a thing. It's not a thing, okay? And it's not anti-trans just to be pro-woman, okay? That's called being a feminist. And if you say that any one of us is anti-trans, you can go fuck yourself. Maybe it's not about them. Maybe all of these men with raging boners and narcissistic personality disorder and borderline personality disorder and fetishes, okay, it might not be about them for 2 fucking seconds. It might actually be about their inability to control women, right? Their reaction, the narcissistic rage over J.K. Rowling is astonishing, okay? Now... Now, so Equality Act, Gender Recognition Act, conflict in law. That battleground has been going on for fucking years now. It's really escalated, and I think that people are starting to see what's going on, thankfully. They didn't in Victoria, they just passed it. One thing you also need to know is that all of these laws are not being passed with consultation with women's groups, right? What they are doing is being passed by committee and passed by stealth, right? And cutting feminists out of it. And those women who do question it are subjected to threats, violence, they get fired, okay? And that's where we get to Maya, okay? Now, Maya Forstater. She was not fired for transphobia, okay? Maya's contract was not renewed because she held gender-critical views. Now, J.K. Rowling's big crime was defending Maya for saying that biological sex is real, okay? Now, I can't believe we're having this fucking conversation. I'm so fucking over it. It's so stupid because now they're agreeing with us. Like, what the fuck are they doing? They're fucking in JK's mentions going, oh, you idiot, sex isn't gender. Yeah, that's what you cancelled us for. You fucking morons. So anyway, basically women's groups don't believe that fee-fees and fetishes and you do you and gender identity, whatever it is, should not be more important or elevated above the rights of women as a sex class. In law, not a problem. But the reason why, it's actually eerily like men trying to manipulate the law in order to dominate women, right? And that's why this trans women are women stuff, this TERF stuff, this bullying, this harassment, right? This insisting we comply, right? Or we are destroyed, looks eerily like an abusive relationship. Okay? If you've ever had an ex who's very good at looking like, I've had one of these, an ex that is very good at looking like they did nothing wrong and then gaslighting you and then acting like you're the bad person when you act reasonably, Okay, that's what they're doing. They sit there and they poke 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 and they attack and they deny and they gaslight and they attack and they deny, and then they make us look like we are bigots for simply saying that there is a difference in sex and gender, right? Yeah, okay, so Critical said, no one is saying that sex is gender. Wait, do they say, yeah, the GRA reforms have been, what the fuck have feminists been fighting for? It's exhausting. We've received only for them to turn around and agree. It's like, for fuck's sake. Anyway, so J.K. Rowling became aware of this stuff. Now, J.K. Rowling's first crime, I'm going to show you, was following Magdalene Burns. Fucking Pink News. Oh, piece of shit publication. But this is the high crime. Oh, Jonathan Ross is getting it at the moment too. They just go after a target, right? So she has been heavily criticised for following the self-professed transphobe YouTuber Magdalene Burns on Twitter. So her first crime was following a feminist. Magdalene is unfortunately no longer with us. She died of a brain tumour. And guess what the trans rights activists did when a 30-year-old woman died of a brain tumour? They celebrated and bullied everybody who was mourning, okay? They had, this is just, they're revolting. These revolting bullies who, for some reason, just keep getting away with this stuff, okay? This is, watch some stuff, okay? I'm not sitting here, I'm not a propagandist. See, the difference between a cult and a not cult is that I'm quite happy with you just watching stuff and disagreeing, okay? I'm not giving you approved materials, okay? I've read all of their fucking shit and I think it's nonsense. They won't let you read our stuff, right? Because they know that we win the argument, right? Anyway, so this was the high crime that she did a year ago, right? Was follow Julie Bindel and Magdalene Burns, because I think that what happened was she became aware of this issue, because she's one thing J.K. Rowling is invested in her fans, and there are some very big and intense fandoms, right? So she would have seen, if she's sort of at all across her community and what's important to her fans, this is how I imagine it would have gone down, right? Which is that she has, she engages with her online fandoms as much as possible, and sort of, when you're on the marketing side of things, you look at what's important to your tribe, and you try to, learn more about your fans. That's actually really, someone who loves their fans would do that, right? That's what I would advise people do, which is invest in what is important to your fans, right? It's a true fan stuff. She would have seen that this issue was coming up because they're all fucking talking about it, and she would have actually just started to, see some interest. That's what I imagine would have happened. That's how she probably would have stumbled on this. Much like I did as a feminist online, I saw what was happening, and then I started to read more, and the TERFs won the argument. They won the argument. So I encourage you to read I encourage you to read Pink News and read the gender critical argument, right? And read whatever argument and make up your own mind, okay? They like to say educate yourself, and I agree. I think you should read about it. Go on. They won't like you reading anything that's opposed to the party line. So that's the definition of cults. So yes, so the difference between transgenders and transsexuals, okay, for the normie, this is a normie conversation, is that transgender is a change to incorporate a wide spectrum of paraphilias, which are basically, fetishes, okay? And anyone who dresses up as a woman is trans. Anyone who just says that they're a woman is trans. And I'm pretty sure that most women would go, well, you fucking what now? Or fathers of daughters, okay? Or, well, basic. You know what? You don't even need to be the father of a daughter. You just need to be a basic human being, basically decent human being that acknowledges that men hurt women sometimes. To know that women are not safe when, you know, we don't have spaces away from men. If you ignore that, then you can fuck off. All right? Some of these things are just established. I don't need to argue them. They are settled. Okay? Some things are just settled. Like the word woman. Okay? Now, wandered off. They conflict in law. So that's the high crime that J.K. Rowling has committed, is these tweets. Okay? Which, in the context of what I've just said, so a big part of it is that trans women are women. Now, the funny thing that what I thought was funny with this, well, not funny, it's none of this is ha-ha funny. Most of this is fucked up funny, that people are still just believing this. Someone like me who has done a complete 180, like how all of these fucking woke beards and dumbass feminists, right, who have been feminists for all of 10 minutes, who fucking a year ago were like, I'm not really a feminist, I'm more of a humanist. And now all of a sudden they're making the feminist argument. Fuck off. I've been a feminist my whole life. Okay? And I am turning around, and you're calling me not a feminist? Fuck you. Okay? This is a male movement. Okay? This is a men's rights movement. This is a pedophiles movement. This is a movement that hides violent, dangerous people who can abuse the law to hurt people, including children. Okay? This is hate speech, apparently. Apparently, the idea that a dude might take advantage of just turning up to an office and saying that he's a woman, right? And they'll say, oh, that never happens. Well, it happens. Look it up. It happens repeatedly. It's happening, okay? She, him with a beard. Fuck off. She, her, sorry. Anyway. No one... Anyway, I get too mad about this. And I suppose if you're going to get mad about anything, it's this. Now, so all of this semantics, right, about people who menstruate and this erasure of women in just... It's like, we know what a woman is, man. Whether they menstruate... And then you go, oh, but some women don't menstruate. Shut the fuck up. You're stupid. Some things are just settled. Find new words, find new spaces, and whatever. So, also, I'm not, women aren't a costume, man. Being a woman is a burden, not a fucking costume. So, all right, now, look it up. Let me screen share. So, I just want to show you quickly. So, this went nowhere, as usual. I don't know if this is educational, but let me screen share. So go and look at what happens. Read Feminist Current, right? I know it's not approved materials, but maybe just look at the other argument. The reason they don't want you to look at that stuff is because we win the argument. But this is an archive, and yes, admittedly they are old tweets, but this is what my mentions look like on Twitter. Okay? This is what my mentions look like on a daily basis. For telling you and speaking up and saying that biological sex is real and immutable, and it conflicts with gender, but gender does not, how you feel does not trump material reality in law. And this is what I get. I, me, and everybody else. I am abused. I'm called a bad parent. I am called every name under the sun, right? I get baseball bats. I get doxed, the threat of doxing, right? I haven't been doxed yet, but it's a matter of time, right? Others have, right? Men LARPing, right? Their fetishes, right? This is transphobia, apparently, right? Just letting you know, the information is there, and if you claim that the information isn't there, then you willfully don't want to know. Okay? Uterus bearer. Fuck off. Abortion regulations make all uterus bearers' lives more difficult. Uterus bearer, that's their favourite one. Menstruator, right? Calling abortion and access to birth control a women's issue is transphobic and violent. No, it's not. You're a fuckwit, all right? This is what's underneath, okay? Look what's going on underneath this issue, all right? Centering trans women. We all see this. They literally just, they can't shut the fuck up about themselves for 5 minutes, right? These TERFy types seem to want to recast feminism as a support group for people raised female. Yeah! Feminism. What? Okay, read it. I'm not going to read it for you. I'm just here to fucking lead you to the water. At this point, there's shit that's just settled, okay? And they can shout us down. Look at this one. This one's fun. If you're a lesbian and you don't want to have sex with a trans person, that's transphobic. Because men are lesbians now with a stat deck. That used to be a dad joke, right? That used to be a joke. Now it's actually raw. And if you refuse, you can get punched in the face at a rally, like a number of other, right? This is they're taking the piss, right? But there you go. We don't need to. I'm just going to keep showing. I will put the links. The evidence is this is what, look, go and look at J.K. Rowling's mentions. Now, the thing is, what they did do is remove all of the messages of support. Many of the messages of support, and Twitter have banned a lot of the women who have been supporting J.K. Rowling, okay? Like any day, my Twitter account could be deleted, right, for hate speech. Apparently what I'm saying is hate speech. Look it up, okay? Look it up. Also, this is a great thing. Wings Over Scotland, right? This article is funny because it really highlights, right, how fucking funny this is. Again, not ha-ha funny. It's more fucked up funny. And when you're in this for so long, do you know that it shouldn't be this normal to wake up to threats, to having to just report bots, to report death threats, and know that Twitter doesn't have my back. Right? The number of times Twitter has said there's nothing wrong with this person because they call you fucking, they're like, fuck off TERF and all of this stuff, right? Even though it is an owned, and you defend yourself and you get banned. It's just fucking astonishing. Please do educate yourself. I heartily encourage it. Gender neutral toilets. See, look at this. This is the list of things that are transphobic. If you want to do some research, I'll put links in the descriptions. Okay. Actually, on my blog probably. I'll do a show notes thing for this. I saw that. I actually saw that because I went looking for the article. Daniel Radcliffe repudiated. But he also said that he doesn't know anything. He also admitted that he doesn't know anything. So I think he's just being a fuck. He just, Okay. I want to talk about, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I do want to talk about this. Anyway, I'll put this link. The entire British media, drag queens, right? Friends, all these things. This is a list of all the things that are transphobic. Everyone's a fucking TERF, okay? Everyone. Everything. This all links to headlines and fucking things, right? I'm just saying, okay? But what I want to talk about is being more understanding towards those who don't say anything. When you see the threats, when you see this, I get threats. I get woke beards acting like I'm, the thing that pisses me off the most is just how stupid some of my friends think I am, right? Like seriously, how stupid they think I am, that I'm just so, like this idea that I don't speak with, just because you guys all just run off at the mouth over whatever's fucking trending that day doesn't mean I only speak out on things I know about and that I am educated on. And the thing that has bitterly disappointed me the most about my friends, right? And people, is how stupid they think I am. I may be many things, but stupid is not one of them. I am a fucking smart person, and I know my shit, and I know this shit inside out, and I am right. Okay? So, and it's just, yeah, the condescension is just, that's the thing that gets me. These fucking dudes, it doesn't affect them in any way, right? Men with no fucking skin in the game. They don't even, do you know what I find interesting for the argument is that men with daughters seem to be won over pretty quick, because all I need to say is, did you know that in order for a grown man with a beard to enter a change room in Victoria, he just needs to fill out a stat deck. And if you oppose that, you could be charged with a hate crime. Okay? And they go, you fucking what? Yeah, that's where we're at. This is not a slippery slope argument. This is how the law stands right now. Okay? It's literally hate speech to object to a grown-ass man with a beard filling out a stat deck and entering women's spaces. And then, if they say no, getting them charged with hate speech or threats, or using it as an umbrella to nail rats to the walls like they do with Vancouver Rape Relief on a regular basis and destroy shit, right? Much like these fuckwits that are rioting and looting are using a valid racial cause to fucking further their toxic, disgusting movement that the left keeps shielding for some inexplicable fucking reason, right? You know, like, this is not a joke anymore. This is not just funny, ha TERF, ha women's issues. Isn't that funny? Isn't that just crazy Twitter? No, a man can just go into an office, fill out a form, say he's a woman, and get access to female prisons, change rooms, girl guides, become a girl guide leader, LGBT coach, right? Can't see how that would be abused in any way, shape or form, given that I know several fucking pedo sex offenders who would spend years grooming children and years making friends, and I was the victim of somebody, right, who was a groomer, and they play the long fucking game. So don't tell me that nobody would do that, because you know that they do. And if you think they don't, you haven't lived. You don't know. The people that are pushing this are showing their privilege because they've never been in this situation. OVF testing. Yeah, so in Canada, there is no form, no stat deck. If you say you are a woman, right, you can just go in and say, I don't know if that's true. I think there is actually some paperwork that you need to do to change your license and stuff. But do you know what? It's harder than deed poll. Did you know it's a harder, friends and stuff, right? The process for something like weight loss surgery, for example, right? You have to have a psychologist visit. You have to have, you have to have a dietitian, a consult. You have the threshold for you to have weight loss surgery is higher than it is for a grown-ass man with a beard, right, with a T-shirt that says "I'm a lesbian" on it, entering change rooms. This is what I'm talking about. It's not this is not a slippery slope argument. That's the problem, is that this is, this thing, right, where people don't realize that it's waiting. If it hasn't, it has happened repeatedly, but it's only a matter of time before Victoria has their own. We have our own Jessica Yaniv situation. Thankfully, in WA, you still do have some requirements. Now, can I just make it double, triple, fucking quadruple clear that this is not about trans people and the real issues around discrimination and stuff. Like, I don't. Again, I've said this a fucking 1,000 times. I'm not transphobic. I'm actually the best kind of trans ally, because I'm fighting for I'm fighting against the fucking bullies and the entryists, right? And I'm going to try and start telling some of those stories about the wrong kind of trans. That'll fucking wake you up. Where they actually bully real trans people who've had surgery and push them out of the movement, right? And yes, so official statistics. So you may have seen, I've covered this a few times. Headlines: woman kills child. Woman rapes child. Nope. So women are now killing children and hurting children at alarming fucking rates. Do you know why? Because they're fucking identifying as women. Okay? Again, for the numpties in the back. Okay? That doesn't mean that I'm conflating them with pedophiles or conflating anybody. I'm saying not fucking hell. Do you know what? No. Do you know what? By qualifying it, I'm giving in to you because and I'm giving your argument validity. Me grown up, me expert, you fucking idiot. I don't need to engage with you when you're derailing arguments, okay? There's things that are established. Okay? Oh. Anyway, all J.K. Rowling said was defend the word woman, okay? And then defend the idea that there is a conflict between sex and gender, okay? Fuck. I'm done. You know what? Like, I'm at the point where, do you know what? Are you interested enough to look? That's all I want. Do you want to know roughly what the implications of this is? Okay? Why would a whole bunch of people completely catapult their careers over this if it wasn't important, right? I've been fighting for diversity and inclusion for years. I am a feminist. Finally, feminists get a moment to shine and I turn around and burn it to the ground. Why is that? Because it's not feminism and it's not inclusion and it's not social justice. Okay? Fuck me. But instead these dumb fucks just think that I'm so stupid that I can't see what's going on and that I am so gullible and dumb that I am incapable of that I am able to be radicalized. Fuck you. All right? Like, seriously, wake up. Wake up. Okay? Pedos are not a dark web man in a van with candy. They are everywhere. Okay? Former child protection worker, I'll give you some stats. They hide in plain sight. All right? Read more. Read about the wives that these men leave behind and the wives that they bully. Okay? Look into the legal, what was it? What's the veto? The spousal veto, that they're trying to remove that, which basically means that she does not have, if this man comes out as trans, she doesn't have grounds for divorce. That's abusive shit. You have no, she has to just accept it and move on. She just has to accept it or find other grounds. I mean, thankfully here we've got no ground, we've got no fault divorce, but at the same time, if you leave someone for being trans, you're also then subjected to bullying, threats, harassment, okay? And also the fact that they're also trying to, there's a number of people that have lost their teenage daughters to this stuff, right? This is not what it says it is. They're lying, okay? Just like everyone's lying to you about the looters and the rioters, okay? This is they are a terrorist cell who are fucking shit up. No one cares. So I'll see you in the gulag, I guess. Whatever. I don't give a fuck anymore. Who cares? You're all just like boiling frogs, like sitting there just believing it, sitting around putting a black square on Instagram, thinking that you're like, oh, look at me, I'm fighting racism. It's like, fuck you, no, I'm fighting this shit. Because this movement is a racist movement. This movement is a sexist movement. This movement is a regression. It pushes for segregation. It pushes for regression, right? And they want to tear it to the ground and wear all of our fights as a fucking skin suit. I'm fucking done, man. I'm fucking done. Look up, oh yeah, here we go. Anybody who decides they're not trans anymore, detransitioners, look up that. Look what they do to people who decide they're not trans anymore. Or look up what happened to Miranda Yardley, a transsexual, right, who acknowledges biological reality. I'm interviewing Fiona this weekend, Fiona Lander, fucking great gender critical trans woman. Rose of Dawn, Blair White. Look what they do to people, to anybody who doesn't agree with their cult. Right? What do I think about the fact that celebrity opinions hold so much weight in our culture? I think it's just it's unfortunate that people like, Owen Jones and Kim Kardashian and, the dummies get more fucking social capital than people like, say, Brett Weinstein and Heather Heying and people who are actually smart and trying to solve problems, right? I wouldn't say myself, but, like the smart voices get crowded out by the hot take, right? But that's, I think everyone has a role to play, and I don't think it's a role of it's not a celebrity thing. It's a stupidity thing. I think people need to just stop running off at the fucking mouth for social clout and actually go, oh, okay, well, when you don't know about an issue, shutting the fuck up. Daniel Radcliffe should have just shut the fuck up rather than say, well, I don't know, but did you read his release? Oh, well, I don't really know, but I've been told by the organisations that have been infiltrated and fucking taken over, right, what to say, so I'm going to say that instead. Yeah, well, no, in fairness, look, I'll defend Kim K. I think she look, you don't get to choose where you're born, and this is the thing, right? As much as we talk about privilege, you also don't choose the environment that you're born in. You are the sum of your parts and judged by your actions. Now, I think she's trying to do good work, all right? I know, like, I can't fucking... Honestly, though, that's the thing, right? People who give away that, like even Alexis, the CEO of Reddit, like, props to him, right? Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, people who give away vast sums of their fortune, or, like this. I understand that. On my level, I could actually just sit there and virtue signal my fucking white feminist brunches and inclusion brunches and surround myself with all of the right tokens and, achieve nothing, but, and bill myself out at $300 an hour plus to fucking tech companies on inclusion in tech, right? I could make bank that way. But I also now am trying to change my career so I can do stuff like this full time, because I think this is more important. And, I think we need to allow people, like, I would never begrudge anybody who's trying to do good with their wealth, right? The thing that annoys me is that she didn't just go to law school, and that I'm sure that she's still got to sit the bar. She's still got to pass the bar in order to practice, right? So props to anyone who fucking tries. Because if you were Kim K, she doesn't have to sit and do a law. I thought that I'd go into digital law because I saw that this would hit the fan. All this hate speech shit would hit the fan. And I just went, oh, fuck it, I'm too old. Can't be bothered being, when you get to a certain age, like getting a degree, and especially a law degree, is hard work, right? Fucking props to her. She could choose not to. So I don't know. I just, I have complicated thoughts about the Kardashians. I think that they're part of the problem, but they're also milking the problem, and so there's no black and white. The answer can be, it depends. It's okay that's an okay answer to things. And it's also an okay answer to not know. And that's the thing that I was talking about with Jonathan Ross, but also Daniel Radcliffe, but also don't vilify those that are afraid to speak out, right? That's not fair, because it's really hard, right? I'm fucking broke as shit right now when I could be making a lot more money by shutting up, right? But, and that's the thing, right? So it's just, I think that you need to understand that people need to eat. They need to pay their bills, right? And they're not going to be perfect. Jonathan Ross had to back down a little bit because he talked to his kids. And that one is really close to my heart because, I know how it feels to be at loggerheads with your kid over this issue. And it's very painful. It's extremely painful to lose your kid to this stuff, right? So, like, try to have a little bit more empathy. If all of the normal humans, i.e. TERFs, everybody is a fucking TERF, right? If we all just sit there and be reasonable and let the crazies just show everyone else their true colours, right? The problem with gender criticals is that they tend to fucking swarm and engage with things and make normal people, ordinary people, look. It looks like it's kind of both sides, right? But if you just sit back and ignore it and just go, yeah, go on, you just keep peeking everyone, right? Just let it happen. Poke them, do what I do, just make fun of them. Make fun of them, point out the inconsistencies, the fact that literally the last 5 years arguments have been about that's trying to conflate sex and gender as equal and identical and replacing sex with gender, only to turn around right now and cause a massive stink saying, oh, but sex is different from gender. It's like, I see you fucking idiots. You fucking idiots. And you're in a cult. But just let them do one thing about perverts and narcissists and bullies is that if you don't engage with them, they can't help themselves and they will overreach. All right? So just let them, I don't want to say give them enough rope because obviously that could be accused of being fucking whatever the fuck. But they can say that we get the guillotine as much as we like because they're just joking. But me using a metaphor, that's hate speech. Anyway, fuck off. Anyway, this was not really a very good explanation, but I thought I'd explain that. But yeah, this culty shit, right? Feet washing and prayer and like worship, right? I'm not religious, and I definitely don't believe that just because a boy likes girly things, whatever the fuck that means, that he is a girl. Okay? There are people who have mental disorders, all right? Oh, hang on, I was going to say, yeah. Oh, no, I did explain it, didn't I? Did I explain the conflict in law? I think I did. Right? I tend to wander off and into rants. But yeah, so all I'm going to ask is that you read stuff. Okay? Because we're not punching down here. We're punching up. Right? As soon as you let go of the trans women... Oh, here we go. That was what was funny. J.K. Rowling talking about people who menstruate. Guess what trended? Trans women are women. Why aren't they talking about trans men? Trans men are the people who are being discussed right now, but it's always about the dudes, right? It's always about the men. They dominate and bully. It's all a cover for these people to bully women. And it's a new witch burning. It's the new fucking Salem trials, right? I'm not kidding you. All right? It's cover. Right? It's a shield. And when you find out what they're doing to lesbians, what they're doing to trans people, what they're doing to feminism, right? Like, and just this whole army of scrambled eggs for brains that are following them, right? It's astonishing. Please educate yourself. I agree. That's the one. See, there's another area where we agree with trans people. Trans activists. Not trans people, trans activists. Different people. Transgender activists. Gender extremists, zealots. Okay? Like I've said before, woke is to social justice, like Scientology is to self-improvement, right? It's the same thing. Extremes, right? Absolutely educate yourself. But don't just read their approved materials, okay? Read all of it. I absolutely encourage you to read all of it, including theirs, including their argument. Go into the Reddits. Go into the subreddits, the trans subreddits. Go into the eggs, right? Where they'll go and tell young boys who are confused that they're probably trans and sit there grooming in plain sight and tell me that this is a fucking social justice movement. Go and look. Just go and look. Okay? There's lots of subreddits and all sorts of places, right? Just look for yourself, read it. In light of what I've said, I don't have to, there's no point. There's no if you can't be convinced, you can't be convinced. That's the nature of cults, right? Cults will just you guys will you'll just sit there and go trans women are women, trans women are women, because that's the premise. But if you see trans women as men, it all comes crashing down. All of it. Because they fall off the top of the ladder, the intersectionality ladder, right? They don't get centered. They're men. Okay. Now, also, it's a cult. We all agree. It's not just a social contagion. It's wokeness. It's a broader social justice cult. It's not just the trans thing. It's so everyone's saying it now. We used to disagree. Those of us who have been observing the social justice movement online for some time are now unified on the fact that it is a cult. It's a destructive cult by definition. Well, you need to behave yourself, grapefruit, and learn how to not get banned. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, but just the premise. Let's just suspend disbelief for a minute and say, assuming the TERF premise was true, which is that trans women are men, would they still be oppressed? Right? Yeah. I'm not going to talk about wokeness. I've talked about that before. I've been studying this cult for some time now, so but I'm just focusing on this today. But yeah, I think I'm done. I'm running my If you got any more questions or anything like that. Oh yeah, I have a Patreon and stuff, right? And also, I am going to say, if you do want to speak up, just think it through and look through do be considered about it, right? Because once you do, you plan for it to be a pretty awful weekend, but know that you'll have some support, okay? Yeah. But the more people that speak up, they can't cancel everyone, so. But you just need to really understand what's going on in the law here. The fight's not, again, this is not about not wanting trans people in toilets. I don't give a fuck about that. All right? I don't care. One thing I think men don't understand. This is something men don't get, particularly men or women who have never felt, I think their privilege shows the second that they say that women aren't perfectly capable of sensing danger, because that's how we've evolved. We are evolved to protect and self-protect and look after ourselves, right? That's what men who don't get that women can look after themselves and can spot a fucking perv and can spot something dangerous a mile off. If you're a safe feeling trans woman, I think most women wouldn't object. It's an energy thing. You give it off. Women can tell. Women have spidey senses that have evolved because you heard us. We know how to spot a creep, right? It's not a judgment. It's not a bigoted thing. It's a safety thing that women are just, we've got generally if you've lived, especially working class women, if you've lived in a way that, you've had to self-protect or especially if you've had children and are a mother, I think you get a stronger sense of that stuff. You're more alert, right? It's a mother bear thing. It's something that just it's innate, and that might be a sexist thing to say, but it's true. You could say that it's evolutionary, which is that women have to adapt into the environment that we're in, evolutionarily speaking, right? Because we need to be able to spot predators. It's like cats and dogs. They can tell when we can tell. We can tell. It's not bigoted. It's just we can tell when you're a perv. We can tell a creep. So if you're a trans woman who isn't threatening, we'll know that too. That's the thing, right? That's the beauty of being, it's one of those things. That's the thing that men don't understand, is that we can see through their shit. It's why they have to resort to all these bullying and gaslighting, because, only women with no sense of self fall for this shit. Right? Why is it always women with jerk-ass husbands and boyfriends that fucking center fucking sexual assault and abuse in feminism. But anyway, whatever. That's another topic. I hope this has been educational. I'm going to go. I have a Patreon. I have a PayPal. I'm doing an interview blitz for the Mega Memeplex podcast / channel. Go and follow that. It will be streaming on my channel, but also posted, edited, on that separate channel if you want to just listen to interviews. But that is a separate channel. But yeah, if you can help me, that would be good. If you can just share, I don't think YouTube fucking puts me up anywhere. I wonder why that would be. Educate yourself. Really educate yourself. And stop talking shit about stuff you don't know about. If you don't know about politics, don't talk about politics. If you don't know about linguistics, don't talk about it. Ask experts, okay? And that's not a dude LARPing in a dress. Why don't you ask a woman about feminism? And not a Twitter feminist, right? Ugh. Anyway, I gotta go. I love you. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your precious life seconds. Yada, 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 yada. Bye.